This is Will Buchanan for the Walk for Liberty, which is a cross-country walk I'm doing with my family from Oregon to New Hampshire to promote the idea of liberty lovers all moving to the state of New Hampshire, and also to support Ron Paul's message of freedom and personal responsibility. It's 4/20/08, day 7 of the Walk for Liberty. This is the corner store where we last left off. We just started our walk today and there's a cop that just pulled somebody over. A few minutes ago, a cop pulled somebody over on the side of the road ahead of us. I really wanted to use my video camera to do an impromptu cop watch on them, but I wasn't really brave enough to since I don't have any backup support here. Maybe I'll do something like that when I get to New Hampshire, and I'll have some more liberty-oriented people to back me up in case something happens to me. Brooke's taking some preventative measures on her feet. Since we decided to take Highway 26 after all, we decided to get some flashing LED lights to be more visible, since there isn't much of a shoulder along the side of the road. How does your feel?
It feels like it's gonna get a blister, so hopefully it won't. I think it's just because we're walking at such a slant. I really don't know. I just hope it doesn't get worse. Guess this is what I get for living in Hawaii and not wearing shoes for a year, huh?
We're going into the mountains. It's now 4:20. In honor of today, I'd like to say a few words about that so-called evil weed, marijuana. Why is it even illegal? It's just a plant. It's just a weed that grows naturally in the ground. Did you know that marijuana was originally made illegal for political reasons? Its criminalization was lobbied for by racists who thought that blacks smoked it primarily, and by textile manufacturers who didn't like to have to compete against the far superior hemp. Why is it that pot is illegal, whereas cigarettes and alcohol, which are far more dangerous, are perfectly legal? The nicotine in tobacco is highly addictive, whereas pot is not chemically addictive at all. Also, alcohol can often trigger some people to be violent, whereas pot mostly makes people mellow. I'm not arguing for the criminalization of tobacco and alcohol. People should have the responsibility to put whatever they want into their body, since they can after all, even right now. I'd rather have a kid smoking pot than sniffing glue in his garage, which is a lot more dangerous. Do you want to criminalize glue too? How can you stop it all? I've even heard stories of kids letting fecal matter and urine ferment for a few days and then getting high off the fumes that come out. The bottom line is, people have responsibility for their own actions. Some people argue that pot should stay illegal because it's a gateway drug for harder, more dangerous drugs. I would argue that the drug war itself is the real gateway drug. Let's say a kid has been hearing over and over in his DARE classes in school that marijuana is dangerous. Then one afternoon he's hanging out with some friends and they finally convince him to try some pot. He discovers for himself that it's not dangerous at all and that he's been blatantly lied to in his government school classes this whole time. Since he's found out himself that he's been lied to about pot this whole time, he now wonders what other drugs the government has been lying to him about. So then he might start experimenting with some more harmful or addictive drugs like cocaine or heroin. And that happened all because of the government's war on drugs. If he had been allowed to smoke marijuana, he wouldn't have had any cause to try those other drugs. Plus, who is it benefiting to throw a marijuana smoker in prison? It's certainly not benefiting him, since now his life is ruined. He'll lose his job, and plus it'll be hard for him to find another job once he gets out of prison. He'll encounter real criminals in prison, like murderers and thieves, where he might learn how to do actual crime. It certainly doesn't help you or me for him to be in prison. I don't want to have to pay for somebody to stay in prison who hasn't harmed anybody. It's time to finally re-legalize marijuana and let people take responsibility for their own actions. I think I'm saying all this because I'm an avid pot smoker. However, I haven't smoked pot a day in my life. I just think people should be able to do whatever they want as long as they're not hurting somebody else. This is Will Buchanan for WalkForLiberty.com, signing off.